guys, happy Sunday. A lot of you out there are into August and still taking your holidays, and if you were following me, you know that I just got back from the most epic, amazing road trip with my 93-year-old mother, and let me tell you what, I needed to keep my skates on to keep up with her. But one funny thing about me and holidays, I know some people are like super disciplined and they've got their eating regimes, and it doesn't matter if they're here or if they're in Shangri-La or Paradise, they're gonna eat the same kind of stuff. I ain't that girl. So like I ate everything that didn't eat me first. And so of course I've come back a little squidgy, a little pudge, brain's a little foggy because I was eating desserts and stuff because my mom loves desserts and a bit more sugar than I would be accustomed to. And I was traveling the whole time, so I was just off a little bit. So I've come back and I'm doing a detox because it's my responsibility to get myself back on track and into shape. And this is an important one too, because we're hearing an awful lot of talk about a flare-up of the old virus rearing its head. And I don't care what virus it is, because this is good with anything. But one thing that we do know about viruses, pick the one of your choice, is that they love people who are inflamed. So viruses thrive in an inflamed environment. What does that mean? Well, you hear about people who are stressed out, or the body is puffy, it's swollen, they're sluggish, they've got brain fog. All of that comes from, a lot of different things, but one major thing is cortisol, and cortisol is a stress hormone. And so when your diet is off, when your water intake is off, when your home isn't a happy place, when you're going into work and you're dreading it, or when things aren't in balance. This is why it's really important to remember all of that BS that you were told over the last couple of years about, Nurse Jones was perfectly healthy and then contracted COVID and died. It's bullshit, okay? Because you weren't told what was going on in her life elsewhere. And so if we're gonna evolve into the mind, body, spirit, choice-based creatures that we are intended to be, you need to be super real and upfront with yourself about the fact that choice and the environments that you keep have just as much effect on your mental and spiritual and emotional health as what you're putting into your body or what diagnosis a medical doctor has given you. Super important that you remember that. So while Nurse Jones might not have had cancer or kidney failure or underlying diabetes, what she could have had is she could have been crippled with student loans. She could have been in a bad marriage. She could have just lost a baby. She could have buried one of her parents. The emotional stress that releases the cortisol hormone causes an inflammatory response. And then we were talking about that cytostorm, when the body is like the perfect storm to receive this virus and for all systems to shut down and fail. Well, that comes from inflammation. So what have I done? Like, workspace, check off. I'm happy. I love where I am. Home space, great. My girls are rocking. Everything's going well. But my mom was here and I ate for Ireland, and there's just no point in making it up. I ate stuff that I don't usually eat. My gallbladder has been screaming at me. I've had a few little flare-ups, and that's okay. I did that to myself, and I'm taking responsibility for that. But while I'm doing that, I thought it might be good to help share what I've been doing. I've been doing this since I was in chiropractic school, and I actually did this cleanse right before I sat my exams that would determine whether I got to become a doctor or not. Chiropractic school is interesting because in the medical world, like, there's super hard, rigid exams for people to get in, and then everybody gets out. In the chiropractic world, everybody gets in, but not everybody gets out because of the exams at the end. So really interesting. I was kind of like, okay, I need to be sharp and focused or whatever, and I heard about this cleanse. And so I started doing it, and I've been doing it periodically over the years, and people are like, how do you keep going? Well, this is one of the major reasons. So what I've got here is, do 2 liters, do 1 liter, whatever you want. I do 2 liters when I'm doing it, because if I'm going to do it right, do it with me. So let's talk about roughly, what is that? 68, 70 something ounces. I'm not good with math, but anyway, it's like 2 liters. So with 2 liters, I'm doing 8 tablespoons of blackstrap molasses. I am doing, I'm cutting up 2 whole lemons, and then I'm doing about 6 or 7 pinches of cayenne pepper, so red cayenne pepper. And that's it. Molasses is so full of so many interesting things. And yes, there's lots of other things out there that will do the same thing, but like I'm old school and I like the molasses. And so the B vitamins in there, there's calcium, magnesium, there's iron. So it just keeps you going, because what I like to do during this is I ain't gonna starve by cutting down to one meal in the day. And so I'm doing some intermittent fasting with this because I need to get rid of all this stuff that I've piled into my body for the last couple of weeks. Let's face it, the last 6 weeks while my mom was here, because, you know, I wasn't going to let the woman eat dessert by herself. So basically what I've got in here is I've got water, I'm gonna say about 8 tablespoons of blackstrap molasses, but if you've ever dealt with molasses or honey and you see how it sticks to the spoon, realistically it's probably 6 by the end of it. And I've cut up 2 large lemons in there, so it's full of lemon juice. And then I've got about, you know, depending on the day, 4 to 6 to 7 pinches of red cayenne pepper. Shake it, 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 and then I sip on it all throughout the day. And what's amazing is I've only been doing it a couple of days now. The difference in the brain fog, unreal. So, you know, where does brain fog come from? Well, you know, it can come from several different things. The cerebral spinal fluid that pumps around the brain can be a bit sluggish. I drove the whole of the UK, like the whole of the UK, Wales, England, Scotland, Northern Ireland. I drove all of that. So my sacrum, the base bone at the bottom of my spine, wasn't pumping a lot. It was sitting a lot. And so you get that sluggishness because its job is to pump the cerebral spinal fluid up and down the spine and bathe my brain in that glorious glucose. But that just wasn't happening. So you're a little sluggy. And so I'm moving a lot more. I'm so happy to be back in work, and I'm like on my feet all day. That's me. That just works for me. So when you're sitting all day, if you're in that kind of job or whatever, and you're like, oh God, I get so tired and brain fog, get up and move. You know, walk around your desk. If you work in a cubicle, do some little steps in there, do whatever it is. But that sacrum, when it gets jammed up and it's not pumping that craniosacral fluid up and down, yeah, you're going to get foggy. And so I'm moving and I'm cutting that brain fog. And the best thing that happened to me was all those years ago when I went in to sit my exams to become a doctor. I don't do stress and fear. And so my boyfriend at the time, Dr. David Morawski, who was amazing, and we had so much fun. Rather than sitting around trying to cram at the last minute, we watched Rick James, and we were like, super freaks, super freaks. And then I was doing my cleanse, and I went in, and I aced that exam. So it was pretty awesome. So I was never so clear. And people were like, are you crazy? You're doing a cleanse during the middle of an exam? No, I started earlier so that all the weird stuff, you know, like all the skin stuff and the diarrhea and all the really fun stuff that happens when you do a cleanse, it had happened before I went and sat the exam. By the time I was in that exam, probably 7 to 10 days after I'd started, boy, I was sharp as a tack. So that's just a friendly little piece of advice here on a Sunday afternoon, because I know a lot of you are traveling and you're going to do the same thing I did, and you're going to eat the cake. Eat that cake, you know? Do you do it every day? No. Well, in my case, I did it for 6 weeks, and guess what? It caught up with me. But there's ways and means to get around and to clear yourself out. And oh my gosh, it's just a roller coaster, that pattern. It's up and it's down. So you do you, boo. You live how you want to do. If you want to be strict and you don't want to eat anything that's fun or doesn't look like mung beans or whatever, that's rock on. That's okay. I ain't that girl. So for those of you who are out there who would be like me, who like to get out there and like to, you know, push it to the edge and overindulge and you know, experience life through food and the pleasures and hardships that it can bring, then rock on. But clean up your mess afterwards. So that's what I'm doing. I am doing some housekeeping. I am doing the 2 liters of water, about 8 tablespoons of blackstrap molasses, cutting up 2 lemons, and, you know, between 4 and 7 pinches of red cayenne pepper, shaking it up, and I'm sipping through it all throughout the day. And what it's doing is it's helping me to reduce the inflammation that's in my body. That's why my gallbladder's screaming. That's why my throat was rough. You come back and you're like, oh my God, do I have COVID? No, you ate too much freaking ice cream, dude. You know, and cow's milk and dairy cause mucus. Like, come on. You know, everything's not COVID. So what you do is you go in and you start cleaning that mess up, and you take responsibility for the fact that everything isn't a disease. Everything isn't a virus. Everything isn't an illness. You know, go in and have a, you know, a real come to Jesus talk with yourself about what you've been eating, what you've been drinking, the amount of stress that you have in your life. And is it time to do a little cleanse and clean it up? For me, it was. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I hope you have the most glorious clear out. And peace out, y'all.